Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Robert. I'm from Houston, Texas, and I'm 28 years old. So, um, disclaimer before we start this video, I just wanted to let y'all know that I'm not trying to bash any religion or make you feel like I'm judging you or saying that your belief or your rule is wrong. And, I'm not trying to, you know, anything like that. This is just me sharing my testimony about what led me to Jesus Christ and how he saved my life. Okay? So it's going to be all raw. I live in an apartment, so whatever background background noise you hear, so it be, right? Let it be. It is what it is. So it's not going to be perfect. No music, none of that. So let me start. Growing up, I was a Catholic. My mom brought me to church whenever, I kind of was like, all right, I'll go. Because, I felt like I was being forced all the time to go to church. And I didn't really understand any of the rules or any of the beliefs or anything like that, right? I just didn't feel like that connection with God. I knew that there was God, right? And I knew that he loved me, and I did have like a respectful fear for him, but like not as much, right? So going into elementary school, I was bullied because I was overweight, and I was kind of like mean to other kids because I just felt like nobody liked me, and yeah. But I just wanted to ask whoever's watching this, if you went to school with me, I apologize. I'm asking for your forgiveness, and I forgive you. And it is what it is. Like, so, yeah. So like, after elementary school, here I am in middle school. I meet some friends, and I ended up kind of being a little bit more rebellious to my parents. One time I was actually behind a bayou with some friends by a school, and we were back there rolling up a joint with a $5 bill. Yeah, smoking money. So, anyways, while we're doing this, we hear like this whistle, right? Like from a distance, like towards the street away from the school, but we were by the bayou. And anyways, we see like a flashlight, and we hear hey in the distance, and we start just burning off, like just taking off as fast as we can. Keep in mind, I was not fit at all. Like these other two kids, they were on the football team, and here I am, trying to keep up. And so, anyways, we made it home, and so fast forward, and by the way, I was safe. Everybody was okay. Nobody got caught. So going into high school, I still was kind of like smoking weed and kind of drinking here and there. And so towards the end of graduation, I actually was having like a graduation party right when I graduated after the ceremony. I ended up paying like somebody, I don't know who it was, but I ended up giving them some money to buy me some alcohol. And so they brought me that bottle of Jack Daniels, and I was sipping on that, mixing it with Coke all night. And at the time, I was talking to this girl that lived in Tennessee, right? Well, here's the thing about this girl. Like, I'm in Texas. She's in Tennessee. Okay? Long distance relationship. So, this girl, I actually met her on Facebook, and this was like back in 2013 to 2014. So it was like a whole year this was going on. So we had like a long distance relationship. I spent a lot of my time on the phone with her. And I mean, I was always on the phone with her, whether I was at home or I was at work. So that night, whenever I had got that bottle of Jack, I was drinking, and I ended up blacking out, falling down over next to the trash cans behind our garage at my parents' house, right? And my uncle ended up coming back there, finding me, basically dragging me back to my bed, like, here, you need to sleep this off, man. So I slept it off, and I remember talking to her, to that girl on the phone that night whenever I was blacked out drunk, right? I was coming in out of conscience, like talking to her, excuse me. And so whenever that happened, I just kind of like, just said, all right, I need to stop. Like, I need to like just control my drinking. And so, um, then some time went on, and after that happened, I ended up like catching this girl in a lie and finding that she was catfishing me the entire time, that she was a totally different girl. And the actual girl's picture that she was using, she lived like in a whole other city somewhere in Tennessee. And yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, but it happens, right? I mean, MTV made a show about it. Um, so, you know, once I did that, like I basically said, like, you know what, I'm moving on from her. Like, I gotta do something different. So I ended up meeting a group of friends that were really fun to hang around with. We went to car shows, truck shows. I mean, we had a good time. Um, Although most of the time it was always drinking. Um, but I ended up meeting a girl from this group of friends, and um, this girl actually became like a good friend of mine, and she had some sisters and a cousin, and um, you know, I actually forgot to tell you guys. Um, Whenever I was in high school, and like after my graduation, and after I started like just drinking like that, when I decided to stop like drinking like that, I ended up like losing weight, and I started to like feel confident about myself. Well, then it became more like I started feeling conceited, or I was like being conceited, and I was like, oh, I look so good, I can get any girl on this planet Earth. Like, I'm the hottest dude on the planet, right? So when I met this girl, I was hanging around with all these guys, and I was like, man, I could probably get one of these chicks here, right? I could date one of them. And so I ended up meeting her, and I was good friends with her. Well, I ended up marrying one of her sisters. And the way we met was I actually had went over to this girl's house with one of my best friends who I lost last year. Uh, it was actually New Year's Day. My best friend, James Hubbs, got into a motorcycle accident, and he died on impact. And after that, um, at that time, well, I'll get into that in a little bit. But so me and James, right, we head over to this friend's house, and I meet this girl, and the girl is my friend's sister. And so I ended up, conversating with her. We went on a couple of dates, and I ended up liking her. She liked me. Cool, yada yada yada. And then we actually just decided to get married. And like at that time, I was looking for love. I was looking for something or somebody to like fill this hole from that drinking, right? And so we got married. Everything was going okay. I mean, it wasn't easy. Marriage is not easy. Let's be real. If anybody tells you that marriage is easy, they're lying to you. So we ended up moving in, getting an apartment. She had a little boy actually before we even got together. The little boy was 2 years old. Um, awesome little kid. So, anyways, we got together, and like I said, I started to become like conceited, right? And even when I was married, like I was still feeling like this, like, and I thought it was okay. Like I thought, like, oh, it's fine to look at other women. Like, oh yeah, it's totally cool. Like, no big deal. What she don't know won't hurt her, right? Like all those sayings and stuff. So I started to become like more lustful, and I began to look at other women, and start like messaging other girls on different social media platforms, and it got bad. She found out, right? And I could not stop. And I ended up, meeting up several times with escorts, and started really watching a lot of pornography, masturbation, um, just it was bad. And so while that happened, we it was just a lot of back and forth separation with me and my wife at the time. And so she's actually still my wife right now. So we separated and came back together a bunch of times. It just never really worked out every time. So, and each time, like I can say this now, each time that everything did happen, it happened for a reason. And it was God trying to tell me, leave that alone. Like, you need to focus on me right now. Right? So I didn't. I was just kept leaning on myself and like thinking like, oh, I got this. I can do it. I can make any decision and make it happen. That's not how it works. So some time went on and I ended up meeting this girl, right? And this girl, she was a little older than me. I was 25, and this was like back in 2017. So this girl, we go to church. It's a Christian church, and there's a pastor up there, and I'm like, what's a pastor? Like, when I was a kid, we used to call them fathers and stuff. Like I don't understand this, but like I felt so welcome there. Like, I mean, I could eat my donuts and I could drink coffee, like no problem, and still like listen to what the pastor was saying. And so as I began to like go there more often with this girl, man, it's just like I started to grow a relationship with Christ. And I actually, when I was being lustful and all that time, I even thought that homosexuality was okay. And so I repented for everything that I did, right? I completely surrendered. I dropped to my knees and like believed that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And man, he completely changed my life. Completely. And that's not the end of the story yet, or of my testimony. So at that time, right, I was working doing AV, which is audio visual, TV, speakers, projectors, screens. And so the company that I was with at the time, they actually ended up shutting down. So I went to West Texas, started fracking, which is oil field work, like oil and gas. I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. So while I was doing that, man, I started to build this relationship with Jesus, and I definitely did go through a lot of spiritual battle out there. I mean, man, and I was so like young, and I was like a baby Christian, and I still feel like I am, but my faith is so strong. So like I'm saying, I was a baby Christian and I was learning about Jesus, and I was just super like sensitive at the time, and I didn't understand, like that you need to be bold and all this, right? So I was like, you know what? I can't do this West Texas stuff anymore. I got to come back to Houston, man. I got to get back to what I was doing. So I come back, and I had landed like this small little job, not really doing what I'm doing now, but it was kind of like that. And I ended up falling back into my sin, all my sins. I began smoking weed again. I began looking at pornography. I ended up, masturbating. I ended up looking at women like lustfully, man. I mean, it was just so bad. And so then after that, after all this time was going on, I then decided, you know what? I don't want to be at this place anymore. I'm going to try to put an application to work somewhere else. So now I'm working at another place, right? Still here working. Thankful to God that I'm still here working. So anyways, I ended up getting the job here and working there. And so then at that time, I ended up meeting another girl, right? Like that relationship that I had with that girl, it just ended terribly bad. So this new girl I'm dating, right, at the time, this was 2018. So this girl, she's very sweet, very nice, and she has a little girl that is 2 or 3, I want to say, at the time. And I was dating her. I lived in my own apartment, but when I began dating her, I would go over to her house, and I ended up actually like staying there with her, like living with her mom, and the baby. And 6 months goes by. We're getting close to getting a house together, like all of us. And I'm thinking, like, this is it. All right. Like, I'm still married, but maybe this is what I need to do. And maybe things will go right. And maybe, like I'm saying, maybe, right? So things did not go as planned. One day I came home from work and she was there. She was in community college and she was sitting with one of her classmates, and she just kind of like pulled me to the side and was like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm just not feeling it anymore and I don't think this is going to work. And so I just like got really sad and really, really mad. Like, so I went to her fridge, her refrigerator, whatever you want to call it, and I grabbed a bottle of vodka that I had and poured the vodka in a cup, which this cup is holding up my phone right now, but it was this cup right here, right? And so I filled that up with vodka and juice and ice. And as I filled it up, she was watching me and she was like, "You're going to drink that whole thing and drive?" And I was like, "Yeah, so what?" I was like, "I'll be fine." I was like, "Who cares?" I was like, "It's not like you care anyways." So, yeah, I said that to her. And I got in the car, I drove, went to my cousin's house, got there, and started drinking. And so, like, uh, you know, basically all this time, my life had, like, started revolving around drinking. Like, I was drinking every weekend. That was, like, the thing. It was the party thing. I ended up going to Austin one time and ended up, doing a lot of um, I met like some friend out there, right, that was into cocaine, and I did cocaine, and even before that, which led me to that, was I was hanging out with an old coworker, and he was a dealer, and he did coke, and I tried it for the first time and just started getting addicted to it, and so with all this partying going on, right? It was so bad. I mean, one time I woke up one time and there was like blood on my pillow from my nose when I had went to sleep, and I couldn't sleep all night. I was just up, just like tripping. Like, I was just up, just watching the walls and everything. And so I was just like so lost, man, in a dark, dark place. Because I felt so broken from my past, with my wife and my girlfriend and just everything, man. I was just, it's hard to explain, but so that's what I was going through, right? And so then, as time went on, as I'm partying so much, one night I ended up leaving one of my cousin's house while we were eating dinner, and I didn't really even have to drink, right? That night. It's like it was just there, and I wanted to because that night I was just depressed. I was just letting all my past get to me, and I was just like, man, I'm such a terrible person that, I'm just going to start drinking again and whatever. So I ended up having a cup. Check this out. I had a Selena cup, right? Like Selena, the singer, the Tejano singer. So her face was on the cup. All right. And I put some tequila in there, which I did never drink tequila. Like, I mean, I had it before, but I heard some things about tequila that, it makes you into a totally different person. So, yeah, I made that first drink, started buzzing, got drunk. I went to the restroom, came back, and I told my cousin, I'm going to go home. I'll see you later, cuz. Love you, man. I'm trying to sleep in my own bed tonight, not your couch. So he was like, telling me, no, don't go, man. You don't have to. Like, you can stay here. And I was like, no, I'm fine. And he's like, all right, you're a grown man. Go ahead. So I got in the car, drove to my apartment, and I ended up being so drunk that I hit a curb, broke my front axle, my tire popped, and I ended up waking up 2 hours later with bright lights and all brick white walls. And I was like, oh boy, what did I do? So when I was in there in downtown jail in Houston, I don't know if it's county or maybe that's what they call it. But I was downtown, man, and I literally was like praying to God, please take me out of here. I don't deserve to be here. I'm looking at everybody around me. Not everybody is like how, not everybody is perfect, right? We all have problems. But I was just looking around like, man, I don't belong here at all. Like, I don't need to be here. Like, if I'm going to continue down this path, and that's why I felt like it was God talking to me the entire time. It's like he was telling me, look, Robert, if you're going to be down this path and you want to keep drinking like this and you want to keep, falling into your sin and living for, as we Christians say, living for the world, then so be it. This is where you're going to end up. And, that's your fault. So I just instantly, man, decided like, you know what, I gotta do right. Like, and at that moment I was still kind of like trying to keep my mind off of everything. After I got out of jail, it was like 2 days later. So when I came out, right, I came home and immediately took a shower. I just felt like disgusted. I just felt terrible. And the first people I saw were my mom and another cousin of mine. And so we instantly just like started crying, and I just felt so comfortable just to be home, like, right, like just to be free, and and not in jail. And so the way I came home, actually, I ended up bonding myself out. Um, Basically, you just sit your time out, right, until they let you go. So I ended up getting out. I hopped in a taxi that was some like random people outside of the jail, and there was a taxi driver. Gave him some money, and he dropped me off. And then that's whenever I seen my mom and my cousin, and uh, you know that my mom actually ended up helping me fix my car. I got it fixed, started running. I kept continuing to go to work, and all that time, I did kind of talk to God about this, but I just didn't really do it. And I then had recently, and this like recently just happened. I recently just gave my life to Christ. Like, I'm not saying yesterday, but it's been maybe a couple of weeks now. But I just gave my life to Him, and I completely surrendered, right, and believed that He was my Lord and Savior. And I know that I can't do it without Him, and I realize that this entire time God has been talking to me since the beginning, right? Since I was a little kid. And I've been like running from Him all this time. But He's never let me down. He's always been there by my side. Always. And man, I just let so many things get to me. He's delivered me. He has delivered me from so much. He's delivered me from lust, from, and lust, there's like pornography, masturbation, looking at women like they're a piece of meat. Um, Delivered me from fear. Um, he's delivered me from sickness. He's delivered me from being, being an alcoholic that I was. And a lot of people that when I was younger, they would say like, you're not an alcoholic, you're a good guy. And it's okay. Like, you don't have to completely stop drinking. Well, I've decided like, I don't need alcohol, right? And I'm not saying that alcohol is like bad, like you need to stop, right? Like I said from the beginning, it's a disclaimer. I'm not trying to bash anybody. Um, but man, I stopped drinking, and now that I have a sober mind and I've given my life to Him and understand why I did, and understand how amazing God is, that nothing can stop me, right? And it's true. And another thing too that I forgot to mention that God delivered me from was, homosexuality. I thought that this was okay. And man, I'm just so thankful to Him. Super thankful. And I just, now I understand what my purpose is. And, like I said, I'm still married to this girl. And she's not a believer, which, okay. I've tried to explain to her, you know, that you can either accept Christ into your life or not. And, he has his consequences for those who don't. And, she just didn't want to hear it. And, hey, it's okay. I tried. And she didn't want to hear any verses that I was trying to give to her to, back up the truth. That's the thing. Some people, they don't want to hear the truth when you're living for the world. And, man, I tell you, I really was living for the world. But now I'm living for the Almighty God up in heaven right now, man. Like, there's nobody greater than Jesus. And slowly I'm learning, how to serve others and to take the initiative of certain things and to love others just as they are. And I just want to give all praise to Jesus. Without him, man, I probably would be dead by now, or obviously in jail. And so as of right now, my ex, we're separated. She wants to give me a divorce, and okay. Right now I'm not focused on that. I'm not focused on what I used to be focused on, which was having a kids and having a wife, and or just finding a girlfriend just so I could have sex with her, just because I was lonely, because I needed something that I thought I needed, but I didn't need any of that crap. I needed God. So, man, I'm just so thankful to him. Truly, I'm thankful, man. And, I just got to keep following this narrow road that he's set before me. And it's not an easy one, man. It's hard. It's hard. Okay? Temptation is real. Let me tell you, temptation is real, y'all. And but God is greater than temptation. He can bring you out of that. And I just wanted to share with y'all my testimony that led me to Jesus. And that's it. I'm going to end this video before I just keep rambling on. But I give, again, all glory to God. And, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I love y'all. And y'all have a blessed day.